Hey everyone, welcome to another video here from thewindowcleaningstore.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Eco 3-stage water purification cart. This system, along with a water-fed pole, will allow you to clean safely from the ground without using any chemicals or soaps. It's just pure water. Now the reason why we don't use regular water in window cleaning is that regular water contains minerals. Depending on where you live in the country, that mineral content could be high, could be low, or it could be somewhere middle of the road. Either way, it's this mineral content that when left on the glass and dries will leave white spots. So a system such as this is going to remove all the mineral content from the water so that you can just use nothing but pure water, and like I said, no soaps or chemicals added. As mentioned, this is a 3-stage system. It has a pre-filter, an RO membrane, as well as a deionization cartridge. And the way these three filters works is this. With the pre-filter, on this particular system, it's a combined carbon and sediment filter. So the carbon is going to help to block things such as chlorine, which can be harmful to the more expensive RO membrane. It also acts as a sediment filter, which will block physical particles in the water like rust or any kind of dirt, junk that might be in the line. So it blocks that before it can get, like I said, passed over to the RO membrane. Now the RO membrane, if you could picture a very long sheet and then roll that sheet up really tight into a cylinder, turn that cylinder on its end, that's what's inside here. It's like a membrane, and with this membrane the water passes through, and there's very, very small holes in that membrane which will allow most of the water to pass through, but the other part of the membrane is collecting the minerals along the way. Because of that, this has two outputs. One, which they refer to as the waste side. That is, the concentration of minerals will have to shoot out of the system further down at the bottom, where the rest of the more pure side is coming over to the deionization filter. Now, RO membranes, when brand new, usually will remove up to 95% of the minerals, so that deionization at the end will do the final polish. So if we look at the other side of the cart here, we see it has a couple of features here. One is a pressure gauge, and the other is a waste valve. So with the pressure gauge, it's going to tell us what the water pressure is like going into the RO membrane. RO membranes need a good amount of pressure to work effectively. Now, if this gauge is showing a little bit lower than usual, one of two things could be happening. One is your pre-filter could be clogged up. If you haven't changed this often enough, we usually recommend, if you're using it every day, to change it every couple months. If that hasn't been changed enough, it could be blocked and it's not allowing as good a flow going into the RO membrane. The other thing could be that you are just simply at a low pressure source, maybe a house that's running off a well system or an older business out in rural areas. And if that's the particular case and you're getting that a lot, we usually recommend that you also buy a booster pump to help boost up the pressure. Also, when you use a booster pump in front of one of these carts, it allows you to also clean up higher or run two poles. Now the other piece that you're noticing on here is this valve. This is a waste valve. Right now it's in the waste position, and when it's in this up position here, it means that most of the water that's going to be going through the RO membrane is going to be pushing out through the waste side. That is, it's going to take all the concentration of minerals that it's been pulling out, and it's going to be shooting it out of the bottom of the RO membrane. Whenever you're cleaning windows, though, you'll want to turn this into the minimum, so it'll minimize the amount of water that's pushing out the waste side and put more towards the pure side, which is going to then be directed over to the deionization filter. So back to the input side of the cart. The input of the pre-filter is a brass female thread, which means it'll connect to any standard garden hose. On the output, it's a male garden thread, so it'll connect with any aftermarket third-party water-fed pole system. So like mentioned earlier, the pre-filter usually needs to get changed out every couple of months if you're using this on a regular basis. If you live in an area that has a lot of rust or other kind of gunk floating through lines that you're typically hooking up to, we recommend that you change this even more often, like every 4 to 6 weeks. And these filters usually aren't that expensive. We sell them, and you can also get them at some of the big box stores as well. As far as the RO membrane, typically we find that the RO membranes on these carts last 2 to 3 years on average. If you got really hard water in your area, you definitely would have to change this out a little bit more often. But it's good, probably minimum a year, but 2 to 3 years on average. The deionization filter, it's a cartridge, it's a refillable cartridge. So that actually, if you can see in our shop here, we have big white bags up on the shelf. That's what we call loose mixed bed virgin resin. So what you do is you take this cartridge, you empty out the cartridge of the resin, you dump that out, and then you simply refill, pack it in nice and tight, put it back in there. And you'll change that out whenever the TDS meter that's included with this, it's the TDS water meter, whenever that reads 10 or above. 10 or below, you usually can clean windows and rinse windows spot-free in most areas. We do recommend that when operating the EcoCart that you do have it lying down. This is a lot safer, less chance of you tipping it over, especially if you go around the building there and you yank on the hose or something, you're not going to pull the whole cart over. So thanks for watching our video here on the EcoCart. Hopefully it's answered some of your questions. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me at info@beautifulview.ca or come check us out at thewindowcleaningstore.com. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.